Evening, welcome to the final fans forum of this season, and Harrogate Town still in the Football League. Yay! That's what we like. We've got the sunshine. It looks as if it's parched the pitch already, but no. In fairness, I don't know about you guys and girls, but I was very impressed how quick they've done that. So yeah, that's very, very impressive. But the order of tonight will go through the highs and the lows with the panel, and then thank you to those of you who sent questions in already. If you want to scribble any questions down as we go, feel free. We can gather them when we have a little break at half time, and then internally we'll put them to the panel, which I know they don't need any introduction, but we'll do the formalities all the same. So please put your hands together for tonight's panel. We've got Hamilton Mattock, the Fan Engagement Manager. We have Sarah Barry, Chief Executive. We have Emily Weaver, Chairman. And we have the gaffer himself, Mr. Simon Weaver. Right, well, we're going to start with you, Sarah. So we've got the mic. You've got the mic.
We have got the mic.
Excellent stuff. So if I can ask you, highs and lows of the season that's just gone.
Ooh, highs and lows of the season. So I've got loads of highs on here.
Excellent.
Funnily enough, I haven't got one low.
Well, that's all right. That's good. We like positive.
So, well, first off, I just wanted to say thank you for coming out. Not being sitting in your garden this evening, which would be really tempting. So thank you very much, and also for your brilliant support this season. For me, the high of absolute high, and I haven't really got it written down as such, but it's been the support. I mean, we were just having a chat earlier with some of the guys, and just what a difference, particularly in the second half of the season, has been. The noise level, the atmosphere, just getting behind the team. So for me, and that is actually, although we don't want it to come across ever as contrived or orchestrated, that was actually one of our objectives as an operational team. You know, we got to Christmas, and everybody knows, Simon will talk about the football, but it was really tough, and from the off the field side of the club, it's like, what can we do? We have to get, you know, we're one club, we're one team, we've got to do our bit to try and get the numbers up and get the attendances up and get this ground absolutely, you know, rocking, and get the noise levels and get behind our team, because we all want the same thing. And I think it worked. We tried all different things. You'll see the giant flags and the flag waving, and then giving out the ones that you swirl round. And I know it's Leeds Coppydals the other night. I'm going to say they're Coppydals. We did it first. So yeah, that was my absolute high. I've got a load of other stuff here which obviously I can cover.
Well, far away with yeah, by all means.
Okay, so how it's going to work tonight is we're each going to just give a very brief update on a few bits that I thought you might like to hear about, and then we'll have a little break, and in the second half it's an open forum, questions. Anything goes as normal, and we'll answer you honestly and transparently as we always do. We're not asking you to write any questions down this time. It's literally just we'll rove round and just ask as we go, and that's that. So yeah, I've mentioned home support already. Really pleased to see the numbers. Attendances are rising about 30% for home attendance for the last year and a half, so we'll get a proper look at that for this season at the end of the season, and do all our sort of analytics. But it's absolutely evident the better we play, and again the home form, as Simon will talk about, is it helps the numbers. So really our objective going into the new season on that is we just need people to start coming earlier. We do struggle, as you know, with August. A lot of Harrogate, half of Harrogate are away. It's just, that's how it is. So we've got a job to do to try and get the numbers up from an earlier point. So that's good, and also keep that atmosphere going. So we want to kind of start the season as we've left it, which has been absolutely phenomenal. I can't say it. Phenomenal. I'll try it 3 times. We've had a few record crowds. Was anyone here for that wonderful Tuesday night Tranmere game?
Yeah.
Did anybody have a voice the next morning? Because mine had gone. That was an absolute all-time record, over 3,000 for a league game on a Tuesday night. It was brilliant. And actually, our ticket manager, Alex, came up with the idea of doing the 10 Tuesday quite early on. And it was a cracking idea, Alex. Thank you. And worked, and again we needed it. That was obviously a massive game, and some real, like the last game of a home game on Saturday, to have another record to equal the last record, just ended the season on a high, so that was brilliant. Financials, we're still in our financial year, obviously we run till June. We're forecasting a much better year than we had last year. Turnover's up about 15% year on year, and we're forecasting to lose £400,000 less than we did last year, and about 700,000 less than we lost the year before. But obviously when those figures come out, we'll be transparent with those as well. The FA Cup run did us a massive favour, clearly. A lot of TV coverage, lots of extra games, and a wonderful draw against Leeds where we got to share the gate. So that helped, and it helped us in the January window, clearly. So we spent most of that, but you know, it was good that we had it spent, so brilliant. So yeah, going forward, I do sound like a stuck record sometimes, but the focus still remains the same. We still want to keep growing the fan base and the turnover, and everything goes hand in hand, and the club and the community foundation. You may have seen it, or I can see they're on right in front of you, so you won't get to escape the fact that we've launched tickets for next season. We had a really good look at the ticket pricing. We've listened to some of the feedback that we got from some of you here in the room as well from before, and we focused very much on the under 18s. We've actually lowered the price of a standard ticket. We've gone to under 8s for free instead of under 5s. It's to try and get more families, because we understand it's an expensive day out if you're trying to bring you and your children as well. So we need to focus on that. We've introduced a new 18 to 21s pricing as well, so that's lower than an adult ticket. I think they were the main sort of headlines, apart from the fact obviously we've frozen the season ticket, which what we always look at first and foremost is our most loyal stakeholders, and that is you guys who are season ticket holders. So we have to make it up somewhere. We have put the price of a ticket for a single ticket up by £1, but we've got to do it somewhere. We can't just freeze everything or reduce everything. It's just not sustainable for a football club. So we're trying to be really fair and think of everybody. We still do the flexi ticket bundles as well, because they work well for us too. And yeah, apart from that, it's focusing very much on all of the club, as well as the first team, the women's teams. Done really well this year. We have an amazing leader in Kate Donnan, who heads up the women and girls football for the club now. She's fantastic. She's turned it around, and we're looking to introduce a third team for the new season. It's gone that well, so we're just in talks with that. You'll be aware, because I think I've mentioned it every time we've had one of these for the last year or so, we have been working on forming our very first fan advisory panel. I am absolutely delighted to say we've done that, and the first panel meeting is next week, next Tuesday. I'm not going to reveal you guys who are in the room, because I can see some of you. That will be done officially through our media channels, and everybody will be introduced to the panel, so that you will get to see and meet who they are. And it'll be a very front-facing panel, very communicative and accessible. And the idea is that the panel we'll liaise with the wider base of the supporter base and also meet with the club on a regular basis. And it will be an open dialogue backwards and forwards so that we can consult with decisions, get messages out, and vice versa. It's a two-way street, is that one. As you know, we've been working with the Football Supporters Association on that. They lead this process, so they're going to be heading the meeting next week with the panel for the first one. We have 11 panel members. So it will be, and some amazing people from different backgrounds, all different ages, different demographics. So I think everybody will bring something different and unique to the party. So look, really excited about that. And thanks to those of you who are in the room, you know who you are. Keep it a secret, unless you've told everybody. It doesn't matter if you have, but you know who you are. But thank you very much for putting yourselves forward. We appreciate it. There'll be more fan engagement next year, or next season, should I say. We want to do more and more and more, and I think the panel will also help with that too. What else? I'm not going to bang on too much longer because I'm aware that I've got 3 other people wanting to speak. I've got to tell you this because Lindsay Barrowclough can't be here tonight, but Lindsay's our Community Foundation head, our charity arm. She's been with us since January. She's absolutely fantastic. She's made such an impact in that short time, and she's actually away at a training course. I think it's in Derby, otherwise she'd be here. However, I said give me an update. I'm a trustee on the board of the foundation anyway, so I do kind of, you know, we work so closely together, but she wanted me specifically to tell you these things. I think she meant tell, actually. So what we got then, I don't know if some of you will already know and take part. So we've got the walking football, so we've got Mondays and Thursdays, we're always looking for more players. We've got sessions in Knaresborough, Ripon and Harrogate for over 50s for men. And you women, you ladies don't get away with it, over 35s. So if you fancy a game of walking football. Talk of the Town is coming back, that starts in June, and we're going to be relaunching this. It's like a coffee morning session. This is in Bilton and also Harrogate Town Centre Library. So if you want some more information, come and grab me for that. Pitch Positive. This is a men's only session at the moment. It focuses on support for mental health and well-being. So you play a bit of football and then you have a coffee and get to talk about anything you want, and it really works well. Everybody loves that. We're running Man versus Fat. That's well, I think it says what it is really. I'm not sure about the name, but somehow it works. So it's a men's weight management service combining nutrition, advice and football. And I know we've had some very successful candidates with that because they've told me themselves how well it's worked. And then a couple of new things that we're doing, and we're really excited about these. We've got Sporting Futures. This is going to be a 16-week programme, and this is supporting students initially from Henshaws. And it's about skills, learning to look at different roles within the sporting and football particularly industry. We're also starting a Young Fans and Youth Matters, so we're looking at, it's like a programme, we're looking to work with every single high school in the area, so all 11 of the high schools, because we do loads with the primary schools, but very little with age 14 to 17-year-olds. So we're doing quite a lot with that, and we're also going to be forming a very, very similar to the fan advisory panel, but a teenage version of that effectively, trying to engage with 14 to 17-year-olds. They're typically, and I'm sorry if you fall into this category anymore, but typically one of the hardest categories because they're not young children. So all the stuff we're doing on match day with balloon modelers and, you know, all the little ones stuff, they miss out. They're not adults yet. So we've got to look at, I mean, we've got a work experience student who's 15 in this week, and I've been picking his brains and trying to get into his shoes, and it's fascinating to try and get into the head of a 15-year-old lad, but that's what we have to do. walk in their shoes and understand what do they want more of, what do they want less of. And it's given me some brilliant ideas, actually.
Are you a seasoned pro gamer yet?
I will be by the time.
Yeah.
Actually, saying that, one of my daughters she's into a game.
So you're already there. You're all right.
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah. And then one thing I did want to mention, because this is something that we're really working closely with the foundation on, is we're soon launching a disability football session in June, and that's going to be for all ages and all abilities and disabilities as well. We've been really keen to work on this, and we've had some help from some of our supporters and some of our parents as well, and working with Disability Action Yorkshire on that one. So again, if you know anybody, if you yourself, if you want any more information, please grab me, and you can ask any questions obviously in the open bit. I think I'll leave it there because I've got loads more, but
we can ask you questions along the way. Ladies and gents, Sarah Barry. And next we'll go down the line to Hamilton, so fan engagement manager. Hamilton, your little update for us, please.
Okay, so start of the season we looked at doing like a fan zone. We looked at new accounts, see how we can engage with them. So anybody who opened up a new account on Ticketmaster, we're able to capture that data now, and I've got a one-way conversation we can have with them. And that's helped because what it does, it gives them the information that they need directly, and they've got when they come to the ground, they know exactly where things are. And any feedback as well, which comes back from them, is directed, at me, and we feedback to the team as well. Also, what I thought has really been good this year is the surveys after the game. So many of you who have come to the games after the game, you'll get an email from the club, and it's just a survey, quick survey, which gives us a really good indication of how your experience was and what we can improve. Lots of things we've initiated because of that. We listened to all the feedback, and I just found it was really useful because we're getting the feedback that we want, and it's to improve the match day experience as well, which I think we've done a lot with, to be honest. The other key points were I think we've seen a massive upturn in the junior membership forms. This is the membership club that we have. Emily's done a massive job on that, and it's increased it to over 700 kids now, so there's 700 people that we can directly contact, engage with them, whether it be competitions, giving them information, and just offers, anything like that. So that's really important to us. And we can dissect the data, so what's equivalent, what's recommended for an adult or an 18-year-old is not necessarily what under 14 or under 12 might want to listen to or read. So we're doing a lot of work with that, and it's really paid dividends to us. We listened to the feedback we got from the Family Ecstasy Awards. So what we did was, once we got that report, all of us sat down and looked at the little things that we could do to improve, just to make that family experience a lot better. There's things that have been added onto the website. We've increased the visibility of the characters that we have, blue modelling on match days, face painting. All these little things, it is working. We improved the fan experience as well, first-time fan experience. So when people, come to the first game, they get a better experience, and exactly we get the feedback straightly, directly from them, there and then, and after the game as well. And I know it's working because I think there's a gentleman in this room here. He brought his child to his first game about 6 weeks ago, and he's been to every game since. So that guy's hooked. I saw him the other day with a Harrogate Town top on and things like that. So we know it's working, and for me it's that having that data and having the skills that we have now to be able to engage in those conversations and to have those new fans coming to the games as well. Kickback scheme, again, that has increased over 200%. For those people who don't know about this, It's a scheme that we've done for about three years now, I think it is. What it is, it's working with grassroots football clubs. So we identified, I think it was over 4,000 children under 18s who actually play grassroots football. So what we did was we formed a partnership with those clubs who were willing to work with us, and anybody who purchased a ticket were family members who aligned with that club will get 20% cash back. So that money goes directly into their facilities, their local club, whether it be to purchase new kits, look after the pitch, equipment and things like that. That's really taken off this year. As I said, 200% increase in the amount of people that are using that scheme. And again, these are the children who are going to become, fans for life. And again, it's really important. It's a really good initiative, and that's again, it's going strength to strength. Again, the information hub we have, the SLOs that work on match days, we've increased the visibility of that. And again, it could be just something so simple, whether it's a match day activation or raising awareness for last home game. It was prostate cancer UK, which is a big issue with men. Just raising awareness, raising a bit of money for them, but that hub behind the GH book stand has become more popular. The SLOs do a great job in interacting as well with the fans as well. And later on, back end of this season, we were able finally to get our own fan hub, which was, if those of you don't know, we initially did it as a soft launch. We wait for some equipment coming from that we purchased, which is, if you haven't seen it, I do next season, please do go and have a look at it. So behind the GH book stands, there's a little bit of marquee there. It's a junior section as well, where the junior members can meet up, play games, again competitions, characters there, face painting there, balloon modelers, and it's like a meeting point as well. And there's activities they can do, fast feet, which is apparatus where they can test each other's skills, and have the prize for whoever scores the highest. So again, before you come to the ground, it was an interesting point, because a lot of clubs do have that facility where they can use, like they might have a big car park, or a facility where they can use, we have to be careful because we don't have that space, so we just got to be useful with the space that we've got, and things like that. They definitely worked, and obviously with the attendances, I think just shy of average about 3,000, I think it is. It's just been really good, and obviously the FA Cup run, which was absolutely amazing, seeing all those fans, even the game, 2 games we had prior to the Ellen Road game, the full houses, the interest in television crew here, the demand for a ticket to go to Ellen Road. It's just, I think, just been a really good season, and I think next season you'll see attendances, hopefully, and grow again, as I have done year in year out.
Hamilton, can I just ask before you hand over to Irving, in the 25-26 season, at any point during any game, are we likely to see you take a penalty again? You were great. That was a good moment.
Don't tell me, David Beckham can do it. As soon as I do, that's what I'm going to be remembered for. I've been here 15 years. Right, so those who don't know, don't go on the pitch when it's raining on flat shoes.
It was very slippery. You were a good sport, real good sport, because it was incredibly slippery that day. So thank you. And ladies and gents, once again, your fan engagement manager, Hamilton Matter. Alluded to it, obviously, I would imagine a massive high for you this year, the cup run. Not only exciting for everybody involved with the club, and particularly for fans as well, but financially a big boost.
Oh, amazing. But let me add that I didn't see that penalty. And I think that would have been another high.
The videos
So yes, the season's been an amazing season for lots of reasons. first of all, and I will have a look at my notes, I was prompted, so I think it's important that I do. My highs, you've touched on it, the FA Cup, obviously the Wrexham, and I look at that goal that Muller scored, and nobody anywhere near him, tops it in there, and that enters quite a lot of money when that got big. Off he went, terrific. So yes, the Wrexham and the Leeds game. Funny enough, the Leeds game's a blur to me, and I've watched football all my life. And yes, I can recall bits and pieces, but it was such an emotional night for the club, for me in particular, that we were on parade and accepted and performed, and the spirit that the Leeds fans recognised for Harrogate Town. A very proud night, which must have knocked a bit of sense out of me, because I have to look back hard to remember most of the actual football. I remember that we should have had a penalty in the first 10 minutes. And that's probably just the pressure for the ref with 35,000 Leeds and 32,000, we got 4,000, which was terrific. Yeah. So those highs, and then to obviously the financial rewards are amazing, and more so because the FA were under pressure, having stopped the replays, which in my time, I once went to 5 replays, 5 matches and 3 replays against Sheffield Wednesday against Arsenal, and that was when Wednesday were in the 3rd division and Arsenal were top of the 1st, and that built the club's base again from a low, and I'm sure it played a part in them coming to 3 promotions over a time. Yes, they were a bigger club, but that feeling, I remember it distinctly. It was all at Filbert Street at Leicester, so both sets of fans had to travel, and I remember foggy nights. It was the 3rd round replay, it was in January, and I remember trying to get down to Leicester in foggy motorways, but we did it, and the feeling was amazing. So stopping that has lost us a bit, but what it did do, they put the money back into the round wins. So fortunately we were well placed to receive that. So they were the high, and you'd think with the traumas of the worry about being low in the league, and I'll explain a bit of background how I saw the season from perhaps an unusual vision of it, but to come out of it leaves it in a good feeling. So I'll drop in the low now because it fits. In the low, the real low has been the severity and the severity of injuries, not necessarily the number, which were less than the previous year, but how long those players were out. And look at Tomo's still in a boot. He played the first match of the season. He scored 18 goals, I don't know how many assists, and we were without him. And a key, just like Fox, just like Mullers, just like Warren, that backbone, he was so apart. And I think that upset us greatly. So we finished up with a difficult situation in October and November, and all through injuries, all because they were not back round in 3 weeks. It was 12 weeks minimum, some serious injuries, and I thought after the previous year, then that was a bit unfortunate, really unfortunate for the players and for the club. So we lost momentum. I know after 7 months the league publish the injury costs to each club, to give them an indication of where they are standing. And for the 2nd year running, we were 2nd in this league. So I'll tell you the cost of this year in the first 7 months, and it's insured, but we pay the insurance bill that matches basically the claims. And that's the same for everybody. It's the Premier League that run the insurance. And our costs from the first 7 months were 140,000. And one club at the bottom of this graph had spent 20. So I think we deserve next year to have a bit of luck, and certainly the players do. It's hard to carry for them. So that was a real long-term low that would, they're not getting the boots on. Having said that, that is my only low, would you believe? Because I think things that, have turned out.
Well, you mentioned the cup runs, Irving. We need to give a nod to the FA Youth Cup and
I've got
the team.
that. I've got that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Against West Brom, they got so close.
It's remarkable, those 3 games, and the attendances just shows how people are taking part in the club, not just at first team level and ladies level, but those lads, those 3 matches were outstanding at a time when we needed a lift, and it was amazing. And I think we've changed tack on the academy, and I think for the better for the continuation of the players, so they're not left in a wonderland with nothing happening, because it's not structured right through from being 18, and they can go into a void of challenging games. So we've rectified that, we've changed that, and we're not alone doing that. And it's not as expensive, but the point is it's the value to the players. So I'm looking forward to that being started next season. And where was it? Yes, the youth clubs. And they were amazing, and how it caught on was tremendous. And 1 or 2 players have come through to get a real opportunity. I mean, last year's recruit, Peter Morgan, he's been out injured for about 15 weeks. Just an example. Longer than that, since Christmas. Yeah. So we move on from that. That's the downside. In football, if you can finish up happy, and certainly what's happened recently, and we've talked about the attendance rises, and I know winning brings in more attendance because people want to see them win, not lose. I get that. But it just shows, though, that there is a heart in this club, and these 2 are amazing how hard they work on initiatives. It's staggering. It makes my life a lot easier. I feel quite guilty, really. Well, not really. So moving on to other issues that give me a lift. Well, late season attendances I've noted down, and that was really heartening. Simon will bend my ear over the years and said, when we go away to these bigger clubs, well-established clubs, and the noise from the cops does have an impact, definitely, to the players' encouragement. And we always worry that when will we get that kind of noise? Well, I think we've just about started that journey now, and I think it really showed in the run-up 10 unbeaten games. That's because the atmosphere is shared with the players, I think.
It's huge, isn't it? People underestimate it. Wherever you go, at whatever level, it does make a massive difference. And also, you must be very proud as well. You mentioned, obviously, the hard work that Sarah and Hamill and the rest of the team do. But the support, the ongoing support from local businesses as well, and how that is developing.
You are pitching my notes now. Yeah.
I might have had a sneak peek.
Yeah.
Just to give you a little nudge every now and then.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for that. We've which won't be transparent is the interest that's been developed, and I know how hard Joe and Sarah work on factors, but particularly on looking at the brand and the power of the brand and how we can get it across to third parties. And we've had a breakthrough this year. And not just, we haven't actually been the instigators, the brand spreading has been the instigator, but some big institutions, not just business institutions, but educational institutions. And I can't go further than that because some are dangling now to be brought home. I know, I won't say so that's happened since Christmas, and that shows that we're making a mark in the region, not just town, in the region, that people are thinking that they're worth investing in for their returns on advertising, and that is just another endorsement of looking forward to the future. Now, just before you prompt me again, I'm going to have a look.
Help him out, Pete.
No, I think it would be unfair, and I'm always cautious about talking about our manager. But the January turnaround was remarkable. That wasn't a reflection particularly on what had happened before with those injuries, where we were down to no bench. We were down to some young academy lads being on the bench. This league won't stand that, and we kept the spirit up, but there had to be changes, and I have to endorse and give praise to Simon how clear thinking he was about not just changing but bringing in experienced players. And January seems a better time for us because the lads who are doing well, the teams that are doing well, are not looking in January. And I think we've learned that, and that's given us a foothold for this next season. So that's something that we're well aware of. But the way it changed, both its nature of play and the way new recruits came in and grabbed it, and also gave support to youngsters that are in the team, was amazing. So I've got to give that don't often praise it, to be honest. So that's my highs and lows.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman Elby Weaver. Now we turn to the gaffer. So, what a season! What a roller coaster!
Yeah, just a bit. I mean, so much happens within the space of 10 months. I guess it started really just as I sat down at the end of last season. I thought, reflected on, it was a decent season, last year. And then you're looking at your squad, and I think one of the first probably few days after the end of last season, I took the call from Barry Fry at Peterborough saying I like the left winger, Ibby, and so that changed slightly. The loss of his goals and creativity in a player that was really emerging gave me an extra job to do to replace that, which was very difficult because we fell on his talent, we fell on Kazim's talent. They don't fall on it. You've got to be in the game to know contacts and people and get on with people, and but they don't come along so often and so frequently. So it made the task a little bit harder. And then after obviously Bromley, where Tomo wasn't really fitting a hard pre-season schedule, and to be honest, then the right and left flanks had been changed from when we were on fire in the January spell. Last year, so at the start of the season, we were also without Liam Gibson, who was a talisman last year at centre back. Him and Anne were just very successful, like Jasper Moon has been with Anne. But there was a lack of goal power, and it was very evident, and first game you're thinking, a promoted team, not easy against Bromley. We knew that they'd come, the size of them. We'd lost a bit of size with the injuries, lost a bit of presence, but didn't panic on that. But I remember on the Sunday just working a number of hours on, we'll have to change. I know already this, sometimes there's defeats and you know that it's okay, just stay consistent with it. I know we're good enough. But I've learned after a while, just many years in it now, got to go with the gut and back myself. And we went to Lincoln, we changed it, went 3 at the back that day, and we got a good win in the EFL Cup. Against the odds, we beat Lincoln.
That was a great win because it was one of those games. I remember all the odds stacked against you, and on paper it seemed to be a straightforward win almost for Lincoln, and I think you made a few people sit up.
Yeah, it was an early high that probably doesn't get mentioned because it's so long ago and so much has happened since. And in the early part of the season, there were moments where I think, oh yeah, but then quickly after that there'd be an anticlimax, a disappointment. So, for instance, we played Doncaster here on a Thursday night, and you could just feel it in the ground. We're going to win. They were top of the league. and they've ended up obviously going up because they're an outstanding squad and they've done great. But we just had a feeling in the ground and with the players that we're going to rise to the occasion, and that was a win like that. But then the following game, the same group couldn't sustain it like we have done in the latter part of the season, and that was the problem for me in the first half of the season. We'd have a high, and then it was back in that high up, which we couldn't gain real traction, real momentum in the season. So after the Doncaster game came the 3-0 defeat to Crewe, and you go slam in the face. After the Bradford home game live on Sky, 4 nights later we came out in front of 1,500, which is a bit of a slap in the face for myself, I'll be honest, at the time. But then furthermore, we lost 5-1, and we couldn't have that feel-good factor for a week before we came tumbling back down to earth. And I don't think the strength was in the team to be able to fight the fight the way I like us to, week in, week out, to be able to really go bang mid-table, bang, force ourselves into the top 10. And before you know it, we look like an inconsistent outfit. We drew Wrexham. I knew the town would be up for it. I knew it would be packed to the rafters, and I knew the lads would go underdogs. Great, it's easy sell to players. Underdogs, Wrexham, Moreland, run 11k. I could guarantee that honesty. Won the game, and we're through to the next round. And I expected it to happen that morning because I thought the lads will be right up for this. The town will be, because we're the underdogs. And then we played Chesterfield at home. Fantastic performance, and so I'd be wrong not mentioning the pre-January performances like that, Wrexham, like Chesterfield, like Gillingham away. It's very difficult for people to travel, but it's such a long way, and we dug in and ground it out. And then we played a Gainsborough in the FA Cup, a game that we were expected to win, and it's a potential banana skin, obviously, but and I expected us to win, and we won the game. But something happened to Stephen Dooley, a nasty accident. It hurt his head, and I remember that moment. Going home, my gut feeling at the time was that's one too many injuries for us. It's one too many. And whilst all the jubilation was going off, and then I got called to go to Old Trafford for the FA Cup draw, and I didn't bask in the glory of that because I knew that we were in trouble, and I knew we had to kind of crawl over the line to January then. And it was great that the Leeds game was back a little bit because I thought that, there were games at home against Walsall, Salford. They were flying at the time, low up front for Walsall. Is expected to play Premier League football, and you go, we are small team. We're missing big players, not only physically but pedigree, and I thought, and it's that fear of backward momentum in a club where we've built it up over so long, and the confidence of people. And I knew then, I remember coming into, I think it was after the Salford game, and my dad came over, and to be fair, he said, well, tie game, they finished their chances, and so you have to face the truth. And I said, I'll be honest, Dad, we're going down here unless we're able to do something about it and we take action. Was
that the first point in this season where you were genuinely fearing that, or had you feared it before?
I feared the drop at that point more so than before. I thought I was banging heads together for a while, where you've given me a high, and then when you send a team out to do the same thing they get 3 days after, and you go, and I think it was more, it was banging heads, trying to cajole them and trying to make them believe, but then in sport it's quite brutal when you get to a certain level, and players almost like, I'm great as an underdog, but if I have to go and beat a mid-table team and the capability of the squad is so on it, and they're honest lads, and suddenly I look at themselves in the mirror and go, I've got to do it when we're supposed to do it. It was a case of, we're not got enough to be where we were last year because we lack the Ibby, we lack a Kane, we lack in the year before when we talk about attacking talent, when Luke Armstrong actually wanted to be here, he was a threat for us. He was a big man, he was a threat. And then we had Kazim Alibi, we had Alex Patterson, who's going up this year probably with Bradford. It was still, stats-wise, right up on top, being top third of the league. And so there was a lot of attacking talent, and then you're getting lads visibly, you know, doubting themselves against quite hot opposition at times, where I could feel that we're having a bit of a wobble here. And then you start searching a bit as a manager, because it's okay having consistent messages and, yeah, I believe in this, I believe in our 4-4-2. And we went to Salford, and I thought, the bottom's fallen out of it here, you know, the belief system. And we can't fight the war in both boxes. And so it needed cleaning up, it needed sorting. And we had eyes on Bryn Morris, and we knew that it could well be available because of family in the northeast. And I thought I need an anchor man in midfield, really, someone who knows the game and can just pour cold water on things at times. And then Levi was perfect for a 4-4-2 to accompany him. And we just, you know, put Mullers in, you know, up front alongside March, who'd had a difficult time with injuries since rejoining the club, but he showed signs of, you know, showing that resolve I need up front. And we went 4-4-2 at Barrow, and we had enough out there where I thought, whatever happens, we fight the fight, you know, and we get it up there, we get corners. And the first 10-15 minutes we had 5-6 corners, and I thought, it's one-way traffic here. There's a shift in mentality, and Bryn's at the heart of it, and I thought, I'm pleased with that. And then we went and got, you know, a one breakaway, a scruffy first goal, and I thought, brilliant timing. Sometimes you just need a leg up, because now we can enjoy the Leeds week. Because all Christmas, I'm looking at it at my iPad, I'm going, right, we've lost 6 out of 7 in December. Everyone's excited about Leeds. And I'm thinking, I don't want a world record on my hands, 15-0 at Leeds. And so I'm watching
Nobody wanted that.
Yeah, and the Christmas videos on there, and I'm going, oh, right, there's Leeds here we go, you know, they're red hot. And at that time, you know, we've also obviously got folks in the squad, and you're thinking, it'd be a difficult time to put him in, and then he was put in, then he got injured, a bad injury. And we discussed, I thought, well, let's get him watching games, and he helped, to be honest, with the Leeds game, you know, because he's a massive Leeds fan. You know, he loves our club, but he's a Leeds born lad, and he loved delving into that. And he had a purpose, and he was great, and said, showed the lads what they're about. And we got amongst it that week, and the sun was shining. I just thought, there's a new energy, and you can quickly turn it round, you know, where you go, it's not all's lost. Yeah, we're slipping in the league, but we've had a win, you know, and we can hang on to those simple processes that got us the win. Take on Leeds, nothing to lose, but make sure that, you know, we stop them playing as much as we can. Be humble enough to do that, and don't get caught passing sideways or backwards, because they'll have you. Yeah, and we went there, and I've only just reflected on that game. I can quite honestly say, after mathematically being up, because I'd have just looked back with sadness, thinking that was great, but we went down. And so it was a brilliant night, but it was then move on to Cheltenham. And I didn't want complacency to kick in, and we knocked them over, we bowled them over with desire, shots on target, crosses in the box, long throws in the box, and we were back to snapping and snarling. And I thought, I've got enough in the team with that. And then I got a text about Ben Fox, and just at the wrong time, at my mother and father-in-law's on a Sunday, the agent texted me and said, what do you think to Ben Fox? And I thought, I just have to miss this Sunday lunch. I need him before other people find out. The signing and getting him over the line with a guy who's really, really good as an agent. He's always wanted to put a player our way. Finally, he said it'd be a great fit. You know, he's a warrior type. You know, we know what the club's about, and those two together have been massive for this club to sustain at this level. But as everything, it wasn't such a fairy tale, move straight away for all of us in terms of Barrow and Leeds and we were safe. Life's not like that. But we knew what we were about, the clear identity. We knew we had players who can rise to it, and we might have a blip, but the blip's not a heart and soul one. I think we had Newport set piece goals, upset about that. But we knew that they weren't insurmountable. We could go again. A low was Bradford away when we played well second half, and Thursday night, it was an early kick-off, and discovered that results weren't going our way at half time, and I'm thinking we're 2 points from the bottom of the league, and it was and we never said a word to each other. We just said, right, speak after the results come in, and went and shut the door in my own room and thought, just wait till these results come in. And there's an intensity about me thinking, come on, and Grimsby beat Carlisle that day, and that was good, so my mood slightly lifted, and then it was like back to work and bounce back. And this group has been brilliant at bouncing back, so we suffered a defeat at MK Dons last minute. It's one of our best away performances since we got to Football League. We hammered them, but we had a problem scoring goals. And Zico, as I came off the bench, scored one. I didn't put him on to score, but he actually scored a spectacular goal. And then a minute after, they scored an even better goal from 30 yards, and you're going, right, but we don't go down on moments like that. We go down if we don't react. And in the change, I said, you're a handy outfit now. We're decent. I'm telling you now, it's not being arrogant. We're all right as long as we dig in. And we did. I think that digging in mentality has got over the line against Swindon. We were ugly first half, but I quite like ugly if it's 0-0, and you go, we're not going to be as bad second half. We'll come out the blocks, make sure we come out the blocks flying, and we did second half, ran over them, and it was turned to scoreline, a little bit in it, but fine margins, but we won the game as the form team. And then the Tranmere night was unbelievable for everybody in our changing room, because the reaction of the fans, the desire, it was like, we are getting over the line here. And it's the first time probably Magard dropped in front of the fans over there when their second goal went in from 20 yards. And I just did a bit of a Kevin Keegan impression, a bit like, you're joking, right in the top of the dugout. I don't believe it for the players, because we'd reached heights, and they were a good team. They knocked it about for fun. But then the penalty, obviously, probably nearly keeled over with a heart attack at that point. He missed it. But I felt we deserved it. I thought just that sometimes you could feel it in the ground. The desire from everybody and the intensity makes me believe that not tonight, we're not losing, and we're going to win. And so that was a massive win. And even the Carlisle win, it was like, nah, you're not going to do us. They don't care with the pedigree. We're having it. And if it takes an 89th, 90th minute, we're always saying this in the changing room, stay in it, like a boxer, come out fast. But if you get a cut, you get back up and stay in the game. Don't buckle. And it's probably some psychologists would say, don't say don't. Don't be negative. We need to switch off. Be the man that grabs someone and make sure you're not bullying. And so we've tried to flip it and go, no, we're bullying teams instead of being bullied in December. And so we've been tough, and we've been mentally tough, physically tough, and we've earned the right, to win. And the Grimsby fight back, the most angry I've been in years at half time, because we'd set expectations in front of the home faithful, unbeaten run, and then we went in a 2-0 down because people had fallen to sleep in the 47th minute from a set play, which I pride myself on. And I was absolutely fuming that day, but we got a bounce back, and I said that'll be put to bed if you go and get something from the game. And we got a draw, which was good for us, and then And then Fleetwood to get over the line, never straightforward, going a goal down and then winning 3-1. It was a good journey out.
Simon, first of all, you mentioned, so the question says, securing another League Two season. It's been a massive weight off everybody's mind, but do you think that it's the same for all managers, or do you feel the pressure more so given the family dynamic between you and your dad?
Oof, that's a good one.
Thought we'd start with an easy one.
It's hard to speak for other managers. I would think that they care, because it's everybody's livelihoods and they want to go home to their families and be proud of what's happened at work. I think I've said before, you're trapped in a passion, aren't you? When you're involved in football, and it's great, but it can be love-hate. It's going against you, and you think, I want this feeling to be right on a Sunday. I want to be me and be happy, but it can control your emotions. It's very difficult to separate yourself from that, and I can't see other managers being different in that respect, because I get on with the likes of Gary Bowyer really well, and I sent him a text this morning. He's kept Burton up, fantastic achievement, and I know how much it means to him, and people feel pressure. I feel probably the added bit of you can't, blood's thicker than water at the end of the day, and when you go back on the coach and I see that and we've lost, it's not just a chairman, it's the chairman and it's my dad, and you feel, I hate that, where we've lost, or if we're on a run, and I can handle it, and we have some good rational conversations and logical about MK Dons, and it's like, look, I didn't think then, let them down because we've had 20 odd shots and not scored. I just felt we're on the right track. We keep going. We've got to hold the nerve, and we'll be fine. But it's the times where it's sticky. In December we come out of November, great, not a bad October, decent November, and then bang, say Dawes is out, and then I think Ellis was out at the same time. Where's the creativity coming from? But then the results, then people forget about those injuries, and it becomes a bit of a broken record. And there's reasons, but and they think, I feel like that's when I feel disappointed that my dad's in a situation, where we're slipping a bit. And so there's probably a bit more added pressure that I put on myself because of that. But I would say the position for any manager, there's enough pressure anyway going off, because it's a results-based business, and they dictate how you are as a guy, really.
You mentioned the injuries there. This next question pinpoints hamstring injuries, saying that they've been quite commonplace. Have you managed to pinpoint something with that, or is it just sheer bad luck?
I think you can probably Google it, right? Hamstring injuries in football, and it's rife. I read one the other day, and we're all doing it. And there's so much research going on. I actually know the lady who does our scanning in Leeds. I've got to know pretty well, and she was saying she actually heads up a meeting with the Premier League teams because it's rife in the Premier League. And I don't know. I think it's such a grind. When you're playing 50 games, and this is after pre-season. Not all of them played those amount of games to then get an injury. I don't know, but the game, for all its investment in the strength and conditioning side, for all the investment in the physio teams now, compared to in the dinosaur era when I played, and for all the knowledge and for all that background of university education, all the teams, injuries seem to be getting worse in the modern day era. Players are faster, the game's quicker, they cover more ground, but it's one school of thought is you can't get the strengthening time into players between games. And then I'll be honest, I've asked a question, because I'm no expert with that, is do teams have to do strengthening in between games, or does it add to fatigue levels, and then it goes bang? And so there's a debate ongoing in every club, and and I'm trying to canvass opinions through other teams about how they manage to, there's Nordic exercises that are quite, the research is quite extensive, that they do help the strengthening of tendons and hamstrings. For the likes of Thurs and myself, we didn't do any of that. Maybe we weren't quick enough to have a hamstring injury, those two. But it's very difficult because we've got really good staff and they're on it. And so we're reconvening on that, if that's the real answer, because it's very difficult, because you are literally hurting when you've got so many players out, and it's another hamstring. We lost another 2 before half time the other day, on the back of everything else, which I'm thinking, thank goodness we stayed up before all that happened as well. It's not easy, but it's not straightforward finding the answer.
There's many jobs in this world that bring stress with them. A football manager is certainly one of those. And one question asks, how do you manage your stress levels? They're after any tips as well that you've got, any useful tips for managing stress?
I don't know if I can give them tips, but I think I look at it, it sounds a bit cheesy, but I've got a great family. I've got great wife and kids. They're 9 and 12, and regardless of the result, I'll have a note from Ruby left on the bedside table late at night, regardless of the result, reminding them that, if you've lost Daddy, don't worry, we keep going, that's your way, and which means a great deal. And so I don't think, at least their love for me doesn't change on results. That doesn't dictate, so which is great. And they make me proud with how they're developing, and their approach to life. They're brilliant. And they have also, Isaac is into not just football. He's got various interests. So it's not always, why aren't you picking him? Or why aren't you playing?
That's all you need after a loss.
I know. To be honest, I think a long time ago, I did have a girlfriend who watched me play football all the time, and she was so critical of me all the time. I was thinking, why do you head the ball out all the time? I'm clearing my lines. And
that's why she didn't last and Sally came along.
Yeah, exactly right. But I know many things. But it's good that I think it's the family. That's it.
And you got the dog as well, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's been times with that one where I thought, why have I added another dog fight to it? But no, it's not easy in the middle of a football dog fight. It's not easy, and any manager who said, "Oh, they've got the perfect balance," work-life balance, is probably not doing really, or they're in denial. And it's very difficult, and it's very difficult, the intensity. And I've already said to you earlier, when you're in defiant mode for 10 months, you almost turn yourself into a person after so long doing it, going, prove people wrong, do it right, and then sometimes I found myself, get your elbow off the table, you do this, do that, and you think, am I a bit more intense at home because we've lost yesterday? Am I a little bit, I've got to bend a bit, and it tests the temperament, but I've got quite a long fuse, and it's just making sure I don't get to the end of it.
And the final question that I've got for you that's been sent in as well, I know we talked about highs and lows before, but can you pinpoint one particular moment that is your personal high from this season?
Yes, the first thing that came to my mind there was when Ellis broke away against Fleetwood, and he's crossed the ball to TC and he's banged it in, because then I could think we've stayed up, and that was a real high, and it was literally just feeling that someone just climbed off my shoulders, with obviously magic being in a technical area where you can wander out a bit of space and actually looking around and going, I love this. 35,000 fans at Ellen Road. That was a massive arena, and to looking at the clock and thinking, if we can get to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, if we can get to half time, you know, what it will do for this group. And then to walk up the stairs, I mean, the changing room, it's still from COVID, you know, the cabins, porta cabins, so make it life difficult, even more difficult for you. And so it's quite a wander round, and then you're going back up the steps into a porta cabin, and the joy in players' faces having had a difficult spell, to then being out doing it in front of a few million on TV and 35,000 and families, and the pressure of that, where a lot of people could go under. But then I'm seeing happiness. I'm saying, you're doing something magical out here. It's brilliant. You know, can we keep it going? And they did. They fought the fight all along. So that was a real high. That wasn't probably reflected until now, but at that time it was brilliant. You know, it was a real thrill.
Absolutely right. Questions for you, Sarah, that have been sent in. Thank you, Simon, for the moment. Mentioning the Leeds game there, this question goes on to say, how significant was the revenue gained from that particular time?
That game or the run?
That game, that specific game.
So that game alone, in terms of ticket of the gate share, it was just over 200,000. That's how significant. That's without your TV.
You want those next season then, please?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, obviously I was watching the draw, watching you there, Simon, with obviously everyone else, and we'd seen all the Premiership clubs go, and I was like, oh, we're going to get really, you know, low. And then Leeds pops up, because it wasn't showing on the screen, and I was like, no. Yes. We were all messaging, weren't we? And yeah, it was. And you know, I think I said it before, but I'll say it again, because we can say it now and we're safe as well. But for us as a club, and I haven't been around as long as these two, so I'm saying as a relative newcomer really by comparison. But to go into the league behind closed doors at Wembley and not have that moment. As a family, they couldn't take the family, and you know, to have Leeds, that was like the Wembley for Irving and for Simon. That, from my perspective, looking on, for the family, I thought it was just, you've already described it, the experience and the pride and everything that you have both done over the years to build this club, and to have your moment for me was just, yeah, absolute positive.
You mentioned crowd numbers and the positive of those here at the exercise stadium in the first half. This question goes on to say, what's the next step or target that you would like to see us hitting regarding crowd numbers next season?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult with away support because we can't control the away numbers. You know, you can get 200 or you can get 1,100, you know, near on. So that's the difficult bit. And obviously seeing some of the clubs that are coming up potentially or coming down from League One, it's going to be a struggle with some of those. And we lost Doncaster to League One. Right. So, well, we haven't lost Bradford yet, Irving. There's still a game to go.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
clearly, you know, we might lose, or we might gain York. So that'll. Yeah. However, what we are in control of, sorry, I don't
think about the money.
I'm thinking about the money. What we are in control of is the home number. So what we are looking at is how we can make more of a dynamic and flexible. So if the away need isn't so much, say it's a Fleetwood, I think they just bought over 200, can we make it work so that we can provide more home capacity? I'd love us to be selling out. We've just had that conversation. I know someone's just said Leeds had a 20,000 season ticket waiting list, and I've just laughed. I just said, well, that would be nice. But in reality is, I'd love to see more of those, you know, with a 4 in front. So we have a strategy day in a couple of weeks as an operational team. We'll be setting our objectives then. So I don't know what the answer really is yet, but I know it will be around attendances.
Next one on the list says catering and the pace at which folks can be served has improved, but it still feels that we have more that could be done. So are there any further options or changes that could be made so that it minimises the amount of time that they miss regarding the game?
Yeah, I mean, we review everything at the end of the season. We review it as we go. Obviously, we don't wait a whole year. We haven't had that meeting yet because the last game was Saturday, but it's scheduled. So we will be sitting down. We talked about bringing in potentially an app, and that hasn't quite sort of happened yet. So we'll review it, and if you've got any ideas, please send them in to me. We may not have thought about them. It might be that you're picking up on something that we don't know about as well. We do the surveys after every single game, and that's the reason we do it, because it could be one single thing that somebody mentions that we just don't know about. So we will look to improve it. I don't know exactly what the answers are, but we will have that meeting.
And this one says, the Gator Zone is a new initiative in the adjacent car park space, but so many people with families seem unaware that it's actually there. Has this been a soft launch, and what are the plans to build on it moving forward?
Yeah, well, the first one, I think we've had, I can't think, is it 3 or 4 games? So the first one was definitely a soft launch. I think we'd only just got the car park secured the day before, so it was a bit, right, okay, what we're going to do with it. And then the equipment, as Hamill said, arrived a couple of games on. We didn't have a lot to promote, to be honest, so it was the last 2, it's been great. So next season, subject to us getting that car park again, and that's the aim. We need signposting. We'll probably do something where we ask families to come in through there. It needs signage on the side as well, and obviously more.
How soon do you get to find out whether you have it or not?
As soon as we ask. we have.
You don't ask, you don't get.
We always ask. Don't worry. They are. I have to say, honestly, they're the best team. They're brilliant. They bend over backwards for us, so I can't see it being a problem.
Right, ladies and gents, if you give me time to wander to you so we can hear the questions on the video that's being recorded. Has anybody got any questions that you would like to put to the panel whilst they're here? Put your hands up now. Excellent. Let's weave the way through. Just hum amongst yourselves whilst I read this. There you go, Jack.
Hello. Couple of questions. One of which, the training ground, have we got any update on that, or if it's going to happen? Do you want to answer that first?
Yes. Do you want me to answer that first, Jack?
Go for it.
Yeah, I feel like a stuck record again. We're in the same. We're not in the same place as last time, except that we can't reveal the details because it isn't signed, but it's imminent. So yes, it is happening and it's ongoing, and we're still in the pre-application stage of the planning permission. So we're in round 2 of that, and then once that's through, we've got 2. What would you call them? Probably. Not even objections, I think they're just challenges that we've got to overcome. But we've got the answers, and then the actual planning application will go in. So yeah, it's not something that we can go any quicker with. It's just taking its time.
Cheers. And the last one is obviously the car park behind the Cop. I know it got announced that a few weeks ago that we could sell tickets in there. Going forward next season, subject to us getting the car park. Is that something we can continue with, selling tickets on match day?
Yeah, I think so. We've got Alex. Alex is nodding. Our ticket manager. Yeah, I mean we're not selling loads, are we? It's about, sometimes it's 18 tickets, sometimes it's been up to 100. So yeah, there's absolutely no reason we can't continue doing that.
Any more questions, ladies and gents?
Hello, probably one maybe for Simon. I was just wondering how the Falkingham situation sort of unfolded. Is this something we knew sort of start of the season? Is it something that's happened in the last month? And I guess where you're going to sort of replace that leadership from? I think you can look at sort of Burrell, Belly, etc. in the squad and say, yeah, they are leaders, but I think Falking had that little bit more about him, and it's something we're going to have to replace.
I've been talking to Folks for about a year about his situation, and so it's evolved over that period of time. He's been through several days of this season working on his UEFA A licence coaching badge up in the northeast, and we wanted him to go and do that because that was important, and interactions with the FA and the coaching staff there, the coach educators. So good experience for him, and got that under his belt a couple of weeks ago. With regard to different leaders, they're all different leaders. Yeah, we've had it's quite a unique situation. We have so many core players with you for so long, and I've been so lucky in terms of having these different characters, but they lead in different ways as the managers, and I think he's been an immense leader, a legend at the football club, and a rarity, and so it's not like you can just go, right, well we'll get him then, or him, because he's the same kind of character. He's known in the game for this, and so we might not be able to replace it in exactly the same form, but we have to lean on the experience of others. And Warren, from coming in at left back again, being recalled at Barrow, delivering the performance he did, and then against Notto, against Leeds, not giving him a kick, was absolutely inspirational, and he took that form into what was the dogfight, and his strength of character led the group in a different way, and equally as inspirational, but in a different form. So, and Belly's just won the Player of the Year at Trophy again, and led through being on top of big moments, probably starting at Fleetwood away. Well, not starting because he's had many moments over years, but that being a massive game and stopping the rot. So they're leading. We missed Tomo's leadership in the changing room and on the pitch. It's no one's fault. I think Ben Fox and Bryn show leadership qualities in the way that they carry themselves, and still new to us, and so over a period of time I think they'll become more and more vocal as well, and so that's my answer to that.
Thanks very much. Any more questions whilst I'm in the middle here, ladies and gents? There you go, sir.
What sort of pre-season friendlies are we looking towards for next season?
I think for Spain.
Well, we've got an agreement with Ilkeston because we brought Tom Curzons, and so that was part of the deal that we do a pre-season friendly down there. It'll be announced in due course, officially, won't it, Mary? And then there's a couple more that we're just waiting back from, what leagues they're going to be in. And hopefully we'll have one or two big ones, but we don't want to have as many as last year. I thought everybody was worn out by the time we finished them all last year. It's such a mental test against the big boys, and technically very, very exhausted, but it was good for revenue, and so that was the aim of myself last year. But now looking back, you reflect, you learn, and think, well, let's just maybe have one or two of them, and then have some other teams that are probably below us get the spirit up, get the fans excited, score a few goals, get the cohesion going. I think that's as important. So there'll be more announcements soon enough.
Good evening. I have a question about attendance. We've seen it put out that all seating tickets have been sold, but when you stood in the stands and look across, it's obvious that there are a lot of spare seats and empty seats that haven't been taken up. In fact, I think it might have been the Carlisle game, I stand in the stands there and I had a bad back. And I looked across and I thought, oh, there's so many empty seats, I'm going to have one of those after half time to rest. And I did, and I went and sat in them. This has been raised online and people have said, oh, it's because they're giving away so many free, and then the people who've got the free tickets aren't turning up. Can you just explain why it is that it's announced that all the seating tickets are sold, but there's so many empty? So it's obvious for everyone to see that there's so many empty. Thank you.
Hi, good question. It's something that we've looked at already. We've got some data behind it. We are looking, I know Alex is looking to implement, which I think is going to be a game changer. Those people who can't attend, obviously if you have the season tickets in, it's a massive commitment for, every week. Things pop up, family things or illnesses, whatever. And what we found is those games that we do sell out on the seats, because obviously they're the most popular areas to get sold first. We do get sold out very quickly. Season ticket holders, can't attend. And for me, we've looked at different things, and I think we have a solution, and the solution is hopefully will be implemented in time for next season. Is where a season ticket holder cannot go to a game for any particular reason, are able to sell their ticket back to the club. So what it will work out, if you had a season ticket holder and it works out X amount per game, that'll be credited to your account, and therefore that then gets released on our ticket platform to be able to sell to the public. When we looked at the figures and things, without going into much details, I think it was less than 10% of all season ticket holders attended every single game. So for me, it's a case of we need to make it an easy process for that to happen. So I know Alex and the ticketing team will be working closely to get that over the line, and then to communicate to you guys as well. It's just something I think it's looking at the figures, it is an issue, but being able to do that, it's very frustrating because we do, obviously, when you see it's a sellout, it is, and you can see with season ticket holders are coming to the games, but for whatever reason, some of them, they can't, and then, we can't sell the ticket. I know some clubs, bigger clubs will implement certain rules and regulations, but we just need to make it easy for you guys, season ticket holders, to be able to refund that ticket, and then with that credit in the account, able to goes towards another game, and money off your season ticket for the previous year, next year.
Thank you, Hamill. Thank you, madam, for your question. Any more whilst I'm down here, ladies and gents? All right, come on back to the front. Any more questions before we round things off? Well, thank you so much. For those of you...
It's a question. Well, it is a question, kind of a question. Can you explain how the academy, or I read an article on the Harrogate Advertiser the other day that we're setting up a B reserve team, so to speak. Is that correct? And how that's going to work? Is that going to be fringe players, or is that going to consist of the current academy set up of what played in the FA Youth Cup? And I got told that potentially that they won't be able to play in that competition next year. Is there another competition they can play in, or can you just explain how that's going to work next year?
Yes, playing the FA Youth Cup was wrong. We can. So that's that. And then in terms of the B team, it's reserve fixtures. I like the old school way of having some fixtures. There's 12 reserve fixtures in a central league that will facilitate game time for those fringe players and some youth players who are deserving of a spot. We've offered a few of the young players that have excelled in the FA Youth Cup a pro deal, but they're so easily lost the system in first year pro. It's always been the case across decades of football where that first year as a pro, it's big fallout. People drop out of the game. But what we can do also is invite players on in at short notice and register them to play It's in the Central League team, which should be good.
It's EFL. It's EFL. What's the EFL?
Yeah, it's EFL. It's a proper league, you know, where there's some good professional outfits playing midweek. It gives you flexibility of the day that you can play on, so it's there to help you and work with you rather than against you. And you know, it's not ridiculous expense at all either. But I think it's good. I think that's where we could do with this extra coach. You know, it come in really handy, and there can be fringe work with the fringe players. And yeah, it's not going to be easy because you've got some players that you know, just come back from injury. But it's better to have them play like a game like this, which is better than a practice game still, but not playing for points on a Saturday.
Great teams.
Thank you very much.
You want me to mention the under 18s? There's still going to be that we'll have an under 18s team in an under 18s league, but it won't be the EPP Cap 4 team that you've been seeing, you know, in their current guise. We've changed it because of several reasons I think we've been through before. And we think it's a more solid, sensible and logical approach to the youth setup, whilst at the same time helping to bridge that gap between first team and being a young player. They can mix, they can come in training, we can have day releases from players who are in education to come and train with us as a first team staff and first team players, and then get them all together for these games.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Jack, for the question. Any more before we round off, ladies and gents? A few more down here. Brilliant stuff. Excuse me.
Yeah, good evening. Are you going to be able to retain all the loanees, or are they going back to their parent clubs? And if not, is the squad going to be the same size next year?
Well, I can't give you an exact number, the squad number, because it depends on how many we can fit into the budget for next season. With regard to the loans, they'll obviously go back to their clubs. We'll lose Jasper Moon because they want him back, which is a blow because he's been massive. So in terms of stability of the group, you know, we need to replace a performer like Jasper and part of, you know, the centre half team. Those two were so robust and Red Danger and did brilliantly for the team. Brian Belongo spoke to Bristol Rovers, and there's a change around with their behind the scenes management on players, and so we'll have further discussions with him because he's shown promise and he's a good character. So we'll see, but it won't be for the want of trying. You know, we've had it before, haven't we? We've had good loans, and I would think, you know, we will keep the lads that probably most people want us to keep. Sometimes you lose players because they want to, or they're contracted and go back, but we fall short of begging, but we really desperately try. And then there's lads who, you know, we will offer extensions to, who are contracted, and then it will be their decision, and they'll have agents, I'm sure, but hopefully they'll know how happy they have been here.
Yeah, and about the question earlier from the lady, with the attendance, the official attendance released is the amount of tickets sold, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Why is that the case? Because it really should be the amount of people in the stadium.
Lots of clubs do it on tickets sold, and that's what we've decided to do. So we're consistent, it's a consistent figure, we're not chopping and changing from match to match. Some of it could be psychological as well, so if that's going to help our team, so be it. You know, we've got to do everything we can do to help our team. So the main thing is getting the numbers, getting the tickets sold, you know, obviously solution to the issue. It frustrates me as well, by the way. I hate seeing empty seats, especially when we've got people who want them. So we need to fix that because we want people in the stadium. We want the atmosphere, as we've said many times tonight. That is the absolute #1 priority, to get behind our team.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for those of you who sent questions in, asked questions tonight, and once again, if you can put your hands together for our panel: Hamilton Mattock, Irving Wheeler, Sarah Doyle and Sarah Weaver. Also, on behalf of the club, thank you so much for your support this season. Like they've all stressed, it really does mean the absolute world. Safe travels to those of you who are off to Morecambe for the final game this weekend. Here's to 3 points, fingers crossed. And here's to another season in the Football League, supporting the pride of North Yorkshire, Harrogate Town. Yeah.